Okay. Thanks everybody for joining us today. My name is Danielle Simbieda. I'm the Managing Director for Leonardo, the International Society for Art, Sciences, and Technology. I want to give a major emphasis on the words international and society because we work all across the globe in over 78 countries worldwide, and we are a village of networks, or a network of villages, including yours. And we are really pleased to be invited today by the University of Applied Arts Linz, Interface Cultures, Wild State, Garden, part of Ars Electronica, and I want to thank everyone who's organized today, and thank you all for joining us. So just to give you a little bit of background about Leonardo, for centuries the disciplines were fielded into their own lanes: science, art, and technology. There was a good reason for that. But over especially the 19th and 20th century, there was this really important need for the bridging of those three of different disciplines together. And Leonardo really stepped forward into that spot where we helped develop and build the whole network and whole culture of artists and engineers and scientists and philosophers who are coming together, who were working cross-disciplinary. Now, some of you may be familiar with this really pivotal moment in history, cybernetic serendipity, which was really about where the new media arts movement started in 1968, which is also where our organization was born. But today I want to mention that Leonardo is not just a publication. We're an enterprise level think tank that creates inroads into solving some of the world's most wicked problems. And that really has a lot to do with the community that we serve, but also the really important need to build out and ideate around these particular issues. Now, I feel very nostalgic today because a few years ago, I was in Linz, and we were wonderfully honored to be the recipient of the Ars Electronica pre-Golden Nika Award for Visionaries and Pioneers in Media Art. And this moment a few years ago was so important, so special to me, because Ars Electronica has such a long history in supporting artists at this intersection, being over 40 years old, and our organization being over 50 years old. We have so much in common, and our communities overlap so much together. Now, I mentioned that we've been fearlessly pioneering since 1968 to build the community of art, science, and technology, which represents our global think tank. But our journal still to this day is the #1 in its category. On Google Scholar, it's #3 in visual arts, but there is no specific category for art, science, and technology. So we're just taking that as #1, but it's really the quality of our publication program that is really bringing us here today, and is what we want to share with you, as you are the future of publishing, and we want to be able to engage with you during the next hour and a half. Now, in terms of how Leonardo works, we are really focused primarily on the idea in the middle, and how we can support the idea in a full cycle creative engine. So really helping in fostering and building community, collaboration. We have a global residency platform with residencies all around the world. We convene with our laser series, and we have publishing, and we really assess all of that with its impact. Our international laser series is in over 40 cities worldwide, and the one closest to Linz is in Vienna, but please take a look at our website to learn more about where those are at. We also have we're a global residency network that helps the ideation worldwide, that allows for transdisciplinary collaboration in art, science, and technology, and helps foster innovative partnerships. Some of them that are very well known to us are our Scientific Delirium Madness, which is our longest standing residency in California, which is supported by the National Endowment for the Arts and the Jurasi Resident Artist Program. We also have several education initiatives that we're working towards. We have an educators forum where we gather people who are attending different conferences and gatherings and having discussions about how to teach this work. We're going to talk a lot about labs today with our graduate abstracts and our EduTech micromodules, radical pedagogy, and today also mentorship innovation. One of the things that I want is really important to us that we've launched within this last year is our core partnership with Arizona State University, and which is the largest research university in the US. It also is #1 in innovation. So ASU Leonardo Initiative, which is led by our CEO, Diana Ayton-Shanker, who's in this call today. ASU's and Leonardo harnesses the nexus of art, sciences, and technology to transform higher education and reimagine a new global university as a pillar of an emerging global future. As an enterprising think tank, ASU Leonardo integrates transdisciplinary inquiry and creative practice to solve compelling problems, explore timeless mysteries, and shape our finer future. And these are just some of the things that the ASU initiative is working towards, our Leo Labs and EdTech, Leo Media, and experiential art. And we can talk about that on another time. So that's just a basic introduction to Leonardo, and we're gonna have a full day or full hour and a half of programming that we're gonna share with you. But what I want to start with is to introduce somebody who is really critical to our community in terms of helping out all of our graduating students in their MFA and PhD programs through our Leonardo Abstract Service. Sheila Pinkel is emeritus at Pomona College in Los Angeles, and she is also an incredible artist who does work in both photography and social justice work, and has really put her passion and care into helping foster the careers of emerging artists and emerging scholars in this particular field. So without further ado, I'm very happy to hand the baton over to, or hand the wand, speaking wand, as they say, over to Sheila. So thank you. Sheila? You gotta unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm there. Hi.
Okay, cool.
I'm so happy to be a part of this event, and I'm delighted to meet you all. I'm going to actually share my screen so that I can introduce you to the LABS database that we're going to be working with today. We just developed the LABS database for abstracts of art, science, and technology research projects where when somebody has successfully submitted their thesis, they can then publish it on the LABS database. And every year the new abstracts are vetted by a peer review panel from all over the world. And so I've pulled up the database itself. So if you haven't had a chance to explore it, I thought maybe I could give you a little tour. So for instance, if you want to submit your thesis, you can hit this button, and in theory, you should be able to get this. And so it's a very simple format, but I do need to mention a couple of things about this database, what you put into it, because what we find is that sometimes people leave out some of these categories, and actually they're very helpful for other people who are researching the database. So for instance, make sure that you put in your email address, and also your thesis advisor's name and email address, and the university where you are. Very, very important and helpful to people researching the database, especially the peer reviewers. And a couple of other things, which is often people forget to add the URL where your full thesis can be found. And what happens is that when the peer reviewers are reviewing the theses, often while we ask for a 200 to 500 word abstract, they also want to go and see the full thesis to be able to assess it. And so it's very helpful if the full thesis is accessible to them. So a lot of times people forget to add it to their URL to the database, but it's very, very helpful to us. And again, 200 to 500 words, and we ask it to be concise but full, and we hope that that's enough words to give you enough room to do what you want to do. I want to go ahead and go into search abstracts, because this is a really great piece of the database, which could be helpful to you actually while you're doing your thesis, and afterwards when you're trying to do your work after graduation. So for instance, there's this pull down menu, and you can search them by who's the university, the name of the university, and your author. You can find your own abstract that way once you've submitted it. But there's this wonderful keywords function here as well. And this, I think, could be very helpful to you, not only now, but upon graduation. So for instance, if I type in history and do search, then what happens is that every thesis abstract that in any way has the word, the keyword history in it comes up, so that you can actually go through the entire database so simply and find every place that has every abstract that uses the word history, to see what other people have done historically in their research. This is actually an incredible way. I mean, for instance, you could even type in the name of your university and find out who else has published abstracts from your university or another university. So it's incredibly flexible. But when you graduate, it may also be that you would like to actually you may be working on a project, and you may be interested in finding a professor who's been mentoring students in that field. You can type in the name of a professor or the name of the university, and get connected with people who have been working in the area that you're interested in. You can also, once you're out of school, you may find that you really want to create a community around a subject that you're interested in, an international community. You can actually use the keyword system in order to find people who have published abstracts who might want to form a node around a particular subject that you're interested in. But something else that I want to mention when you're actually writing your abstract to put into the database is that we want it to be clear and concise. And there is a page of information that we've given to you that you can access to see all of our suggestions for how to write your narrative clearly. We find that there are often really brilliant theses that people have done. However, they're not really good at writing a narrative about it. So we really want to make sure that these are pretty simple steps, like saying what it is that you hope to find and how you hope to find it in your first paragraph. And then so people know what you're trying to research in your work. And then how do you go about it? Who are the people who are instrumental in both helping you with your thesis, but also who have been important in your research, both theoretically and physically. And then some of the things that you've done to do your research, some of the things that you have tried and maybe didn't work so well, and finally what worked really well, and a clear description of your final project. Very simply but clearly, in the final paragraph, you can put in the outcome of your project and possibly what you hope to do in the future as it relates to this kind of work. That kind of clarity will make all the difference, not only in your ability to write your abstract, but in the future when you're trying to communicate your work to other people. So anyhow, it's a small little guide to helping you both in submitting your abstract to the database and also in successfully communicating your work in the future. So we wish you a very good success with your work. And should you have any questions, please don't hesitate to write me, or you can, and if you have problems uplinking your work on the bottom of the homepage, I can get back to it. If there's any problems with putting your thesis online, you could contact Jason Brown, our labs administrator at Pomona College, and he'll help you if you're having problems uplinking your thing. You shouldn't, but there's a way to help you. Or if you want to change something once you've uplinked it, you can write to him and say, please substitute this new information, like a new email or a better text, and he'll do that for you. So thank you very much. I'm looking forward to this workshop, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Sheila. I really appreciate your very kind and very helpful suggestions and advice to students who wish to publish with the LABS program. I am going to pick up from here and introduce myself. I'm Erica Ruby. I am the managing editor at Leonardo, and I am going to talk about some additional opportunities we have for you to publish with Leonardo, because we are here to help you kickstart your interdisciplinary career. So just make sure, can someone give me the thumbs up that my presentation is showing? Yep. Yes, looks good. Sweet. Okay, so this is me. I am Erica Ruby. I am the managing editor. I've been an editor for the last 20 years, all in nonfiction content, but the last 3.5 years in academic publishing with Leonardo. Leonardo, we have multiple publications that are both print and digital. Sheila told you about one of the options that we have. Our print publications are in partnership with the MIT Press. These include our flagship Leonardo Journal, which was established in 1968, now in its 53rd volume. We have the Leonardo Music Journal, which focuses on music and sound art in its 30th edition right now. And I do want to announce that we are actually folding in music and sound art into the main Leonardo publication starting next year. And so we're very, very pleased that we're able to increase the visibility of music and sound art through our main publication. But if you want the Leonardo Music Journal, volume 30, make sure you get it this year. We have a popular book series of featuring academic authors and practitioners in interdisciplinary practice. And we have multiple online publications. For example, the Leonardo Electronic Almanac, which is a web journal. It is published both online as a hyperlink PDF, as an on-demand print publication, and a downloadable ebook. We have our very successful and popular LABS program. So this is the peer-reviewed database of transdisciplinary graduate thesis abstracts. Additionally, I want to let you know that the highest rated abstracts each year are posted on the Leonardo website, which you can find leonardo.info/labs. And the top tier are additionally published within our journal, which is very exciting. And we're just so thrilled to be able to feature student work. We also have a reviews program. This is the work of an international panel of scholars who review books, conferences, exhibitions, videos, etc. These are all published on our website. And then additionally, a selection of the top reviews are published in our journal. So to help you get started with publishing your work, I want to spend some time talking about the best practices for writing and submitting an article for Leonardo Journal, our flagship publication. So our academic writing presents new ideas. This is what you want to make sure you feature. New ideas based on your research or practice. It draws from the context of existing scholarship, and it undergoes peer review. We have several different categories of articles that I am not going to go into in detail, but you can find these on our website, and I will, in a little bit, post a chat, in the chat, some links for you to find out more about these. There's a handout that I have available that details some specific advice that you can find on Drive, and I'll post this chat now. So I'm not going to read it all through, but there are some links in here that I want to draw your attention to. One is that we have a selection of open calls that are spearheaded by guest editors, and these are content specific. They're open for a certain amount of time, sometimes a matter of months, sometimes they go on for years, but these are, special projects of individual editors. And you can find those at leonardo.info/leo-ops. And outside of the special calls, we also have general open submissions for all of the article types that were just listed. And you can find out the specifications for those at the link leonardo.info/author-information. And you're always welcome to contact me for advice or any questions that you have, comments, ideas. I am here. And as Danielle said, we are a society. We are not gatekeepers. We are here to bring in the best of the best, because that's where the great ideas and major advancement in transdisciplinary work happen. So when an article comes in and we determine that it's appropriate content for our publications, it undergoes peer review. And these are the points that we ask the peer reviewers to read for. That the intent is clearly set out in both the abstract and the introduction, that it is supported by information in the body. It is clear which contributions are those of the author. This is very important because sometimes people write in kind of an obtuse or opaque way. We want to know what you did, how you participated, and who was doing the work. This is very important to know. That it's placed in the context of existing scholarship, that the references are current, that you are, you're well aware of the context in which you're working, and that is a major part of why we're here today to talk about the mentorship opportunities that we're going to create to make young emerging practitioners, better aware of the history of the field or of the disciplines within which they're working. It presents new and significant contributions. The illustrations are well integrated. And we also make sure that we have a very specific anti-racist editorial policy, and we ask the reviewers to review for bias-free communications and that the text does not promote hatred or intolerance. So that wraps up my very quick intro. There is a PDF of these slides that are available, and you can get those at the link I just pasted in the chat. So let me just poll the room for a second, ask if there's any questions. You're welcome to ask, or if there are any points you want to make before we transition to the workshopping part of this session. Yes, Diana.
Well, how exciting are the mentors in this room? This is great to get that overview. So thank you, Erica, Sheila, and Danielle. I just wanted to add to one of the last and really important points that Erica made so beautifully about our explicit intention and commitment to screen out as an anti-racist organization against bias. But I also want to ask for everyone here to help us screen in our anti-racist advancement and efforts we can undertake to become more inclusive, more diverse, and more equitable in representing underrepresented voices and new perspectives. So I'm just calling on us and all of the students and participants who signed in to help us in that transformation.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's really, really important. And this is a specific goal that we have and that we are integrating. So I think if there are no other comments right now, we can move to the breakouts. We are going to have one main group now today with everyone who's online. We thought we might have additional groups, but just given the size of the participants that we have today, we're going to keep it to one online. We also have a live class in Linz, so they're going to do their own session, and then we will come back in about 40 minutes to debrief with one another. And the intention of the breakout is to help co-design a mentorship program for emerging professionals in the transdisciplinary arts practice and research. So I wanted to make sure that you know that this is a participatory session. We value your input, value your ideas. It's an ideation space to understand the value of what a mentorship program means to you and to understand what aspects institutions like Leonardo and Ars Electronica can mean to the future of your work. So we encourage you to think outside of the box for yourself and your community to design your future. And so because we want to make the most of the time we have today, we're asking that you please, again, introduce yourselves in the chat or privately, so rather than going around and making spoken introductions, and also to mute yourself while you're not speaking. So we'll work with the tools on hand. We have a shared whiteboard. The chat panel can have file uploads, verbal discussions. Everything is recorded. So I want you to know that if you don't wish to be recorded, you may turn off your camera, but we do encourage everyone to get to know each other in the chat so that we can understand each other and work together. The records and the notes are going to be artifacts that we'll reference in designing the Leonardo mentorship program. And to reiterate that this is a safe space. This is a space that is free of hatred and prejudice. We ask that you be inclusive of one another, encourage one another. And we have moderators for each room who will help to guide the discussion. So we welcome volunteers to help capture the notes on the whiteboard or in the chat or in a shared notes document. If you want to help annotate the whiteboard, you do that by hovering at the top. There's a view options and going down to annotate. And if you need help, we can do the breakout. What do you think? One breakout, two breakouts?
I think, we can, there's 20 on and about 5 of us are facilitators. So I think if we did 2 breakouts, that would actually be a nice intimate thing. And then Carla, how many people are in person?
4.
Okay, so we'll have Carla's room, and then we'll have 2 breakouts, and then I think that would be good, because I think still with 20 people, it's a lot to converse. But I think if we break it down to like around 10 each, I think that's good.
Okay, great. Okay, so to just tell you about how the breakouts work, we'll have moderators in there. I will need a second before we do this to create the groups, and then you'll go off. If you need help, there's a button that you can call me into your room. Otherwise, I'll be in this main space. If you want to leave your room for any reason, you can leave and join me back here. Or I can put you in the other group if you want to pop in for any reason. Otherwise, I'm keeping an eye on the clock. I will be giving you warnings, time warnings about when we're about to wrap up. And then we'll come back and report out and talk about next steps about how we do this. So let me just take 1 second, assign them into 2 rooms. Save the rooms, great.
By the way, everybody, I put a link to a folder with the handouts from labs and what Erica's said and the breakout rooms in the chat. So it's an open Google folder, so you can go in and also add things to that, especially depending on the breakout room that you're in and whatnot. So I'll link it again for everybody just so you have it at the top of this.
Okay, I think we are ready. We've got 10 in each room and we're ready to go. I will see you all in 40 minutes. Okay, I think we are all back now. See that if Carla is back. Make sure that our in-person group is in. I don't see her yet. So we all had about 40 minutes. I hope that, oh, you're here. Good, wonderful. So I hope that the sessions went well for you. I would love now to hear a report back so that we can learn what you all discussed in your group. We have about, let's see, 5-8 minutes for each group to talk. If you have designated a reporter, that's great. Or if someone wants to volunteer, let me ask Carla if you would like to have a report back from your group in person. Can everyone please mute yourselves if you're not speaking? Carla, are you there? Do we start with somebody else?
I can start if you want.
They have to answer the questions also. Yeah. So I mean, it's their workshop basically. So okay. Yeah.
Okay. Carla, do you want? Can you report on what your group talked about, or is there a student who can present? Okay, maybe we'll give you a minute to coordinate and come back to you. All right, Gustavo, thank you for volunteering. Can you share what your group discussed?
Sorry about that. There were a few topics. So we were thinking about how do we create something new, and we were looking at discussing best practices. There was something about, there was another point about racial and social justice in publishing, thinking about how we can have more diversity. There was an interesting one, quote from Umberto Eco, dialogue free from dogmatism. Maybe we should not think about what other people's models have been implanted on us, but what really works individually for each student or each person or each organization. So for it to be scalable from the bottom up. And then to not have hierarchical relationships. I think that can be damaging if it's not healthy and if you don't look at that ecosystem of your colleagues, so your fellow students or instructors. And then one of the things that I thought was interesting is that maybe, and maybe Danielle can think to speak about this, is that we want to be open with each other and be honest, but there also needs to be a platform for that as well. And I think that might be something that I got out of the group, but anyone else in our group, please jump in if there's something that I missed.
I think we also talked about minding the multidisciplinary characteristic of the field and how it's important and complex to map and the importance to really introduce ABC, how to navigate and what are the possibilities, because sometimes we take a long time to understand that our ideas or the concepts we have in mind are concepts and how to call them, and identification sometimes.
I think there was a lot of really helpful connection, because some people had mentorship experiences before, and I want to thank everybody from our group for being so honest and transparent. And a lot of it has to do with really understanding what is it that in the particular fields, how to actually advance their careers in publishing, as an example, really an area that is very lacking in mentorship in a lot of the academia that have been shared. Like, people know that it exists, but they don't know how to do it or how to do it well. And then also, like, the nuance and niche expertise that is outside of their own universities. How do you actually connect with those people? And really about advancing that and creating a way that people can have deep dialogues, critical dialogues, and relationships in those particular nuanced areas without having to go through a major level of explanation and background, I think was also very critical. Did I get everything? Did we get everything?
I just wanted to say that our group seemed very dynamic and animated, so I'm excited to be here.
I love to hear that feedback. That's awesome. That's great. How about the second online breakout group? Do you have someone available or a volunteer to report on what you discussed? Feel free.
So I'm going to
Well, Diana. Yeah.
I'm going to suggest, if it's okay, Sheila, that you share some of the notes you were kind to take, and then we can just invite, if there are some of the participants, we'll see if we catch everything. And then if there's anything we were missing, then some of the other participants could share, if that's okay to put you on the spot.
No, it's fine. It's really fine. I'm actually, a lot of the things that people just brought up were brought up in our session as well. So that there was quite a bit of overlap. There were some things that, people were looking for mentorship and helping them get ideas and to be able to focus on ideas in generating a thesis. And they were looking for mentors to be able to help them do that. The emphasis on back and forth communication, we shared that with people in your group, the first group. We did, some people were concerned about how do you keep your practice going after you graduate, and how do you create a dialogue and a group of people who you can work with once you've finished school. And there's, let's see, but there was a very interesting turn in the dialogue in our group that it really focused on the function of the emotional help that a mentor can give the other person, even more than intellectual help. I mean, often they can find intellectual help, but they need to have a mentor who they feel they can trust, who they feel they can open up to, who they feel that they're not talking up and down, but sideways, so they can talk back and forth to each other, right? And for them, that comment came from a lot of people in our group in a lot of different ways. And so and we had, our group was from all over the world. It was quite amazing. But there was another comment that was dear to my heart, which had to do with if you're doing a research project, not only are you finding mentorships and experts, but you're finding mentorship among the people who know the area that you're working in. For instance, Mary from our group is working on land projects, and really goes to the people who are living on the land that they're researching for their expertise in the problems and how to solve them. Right? Because who knows better than the people who are experiencing those problems? So they're not necessarily looking for experts, quote unquote. They think the experts are the people who are, you know, in the middle of the problem, who are on the ground, right? And in an interesting way, it brings up the whole idea of scientific discovery and expertise in an area that you might call the people's history of science, right? The people's history of trying to understand how to solve problems. And we could really start to open up to that way of looking at expanding the voices who are part of our narrative, because they're the experts in problem solving from their perspective, right? Anyhow, those are some of the things that came up in our group.
I wanted to reiterate from, I guess Sheila, that a lot of feeling comfortable and safe is extremely important. And I think Diana maybe talked about it in one of her lectures. You know, how do you humanize the process, and how does it become less than a factory and more that you're taking care of, but not in a familial way, but in a having empathy and compassion. And I think that would definitely exponentially raise the, I would think, better content.
So one of the ways that came up in our conversation, I think we can build on that comment, is to humanize the experience of mentorship requires trust and trustworthiness, and that's supported by breaking down and cutting through the hierarchical structures and barriers that may dehumanize and intimidate or inhibit the kind of richness we want to be sharing with each other. And one of it also came up in our group, the importance of humanizing the mentorship experience, having a team. Not just the one individual mentor who will be the savior, but recognizing that one mentor brings one perspective, and we really need the whole room here. So building that kind of curated and organic collective of who's Team Diana going to be. It's not just that one person. It's the collective that I might attract or invite. And we also acknowledged how important the labs might be in serving as one of the resources from which we can curate a kind of team. But having that collective, that group of mentors, I think is important in demystifying and humanizing trustworthy mentors. And then finally, I would add that Jenny, at the very end, last minute, literally pulled together this beautiful image that I thought encapsulated our conversation and mentorship in general of a tree, and looking at the structure less as a polarity or a hierarchy, and more as a tree with branches. And I would suggest we're all simultaneously the branches and the fruit and the leaves and the roots and the trunk, and that's how we can be fluid in our roles serving as mentor, peer, protege.
I think I saw Anna, you had your hand raised.
Yes, I did, but this was nicely covered by now by Diana. I was just going through my notes, and the importance of non-hierarchical relationships in many directions, also to totally float off or be off topic, are of crucial importance. Several people from our group mentioned. I just got a message from Carla that she seems to be missing us. Can you check, Erika, if Carla is still available?
Yes, I think she has returned. You went away for a moment.
Oh,
But
okay.
Carla, can you hear us now?
Hello, yes.
Cool.
Oh, wonderful.
It's just I'm seeing myself. That's why I was confused. I'm just seeing my window and the one who is talking. So yeah.
Oh,
okay. So we're here. You can you should have a button to click for gallery view, and you can see more people on the top right of your screen.
Yes, yes.
oh just one thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, just one thing to add to Diana again. This morning I was part of it's called Digital Futures Talk for Future of Education. And one of the speakers is called Sanjay Sharma from Open Learning at MIT. This man is amazing. I can't tell you, he lit up everyone there because he actually cited science of learning and growing and feeling compassionate and caring. But that to me was the secret that I needed to hear. So I'm very fortunate that I've heard more secrets today. So hopefully we can keep sharing.
I love that. Yes, Luis.
Yeah, I think that it comes like theory really transforms itself when in times of need, and I think these are clearly times of need. And there's a conflagration of everything that we're living through in terms of like the health and the pandemic. But also it's like, in the end, it's like the cusp of a wave that was already coming on. And there's a lot of talk in other circles about, and actually technology related circles about care and the politics of care. And there's this theoretical movement to reconsider how we have like secundarized care into the state and to institutions and so and so, and that we need to pull it back together. And this kind of technologies allow us to really just build networks of care. And in that sense, I think it is really valuable tools like that are like Leonardo that presuppose when you're like putting something in there that you want to be part of. But maybe I think that building it towards that goal, not just having it be like a consequence of the way it works, but actually being explicitly about building these networks would be really, really interesting, really valuable. And in that sense, like just being able to be in contact with everyone that's in this course, provided that they want to be contacted. And just continuing to build these resources all over the world, that's would be very interesting.
Yeah, that's a major focus of Leonardo, is to make these connections and build the network and make sure that practitioners are able to contact one another and to mentor each other, you know, from side to side, you know, and learn from one another. And that's what we're doing here today. If people would like to share your contact information, please do. You can put it in the chat now. We can make this available to anyone who does want to share, and we can send this out with a recording of this main session as well. so that we can continue to draw from each other's expertise. And I would like to invite, okay, Carla, do you want to discuss what your group discussed in your session?
Yeah, well, mainly there was a focus more on how we would wish, or how everyone would wish a mentoring relationship. So that is increasingly, or as everybody knows, important to, I don't know what you talked before, so maybe I just repeat what you already talked, because I had a problem with my computer. So that the orientation and filtering is very crucial, so that it's very clear somehow how where to go, and that this is maybe however you would realize it, whether it's a workshop or it's online, making categories or whatever, that students and everyone who really is aiming to publish at Leonardo, and if you're making a mentoring service in a way, that this is very clear, that is like a personal mentor in a way, to help to focus and filter, and to not get flooded with a lot of information, and that the mentor in a way, whoever this is as you said before, trustful, and it's really seriously dedicated to the mentorship role, so that this is really also motivating, and not pushing someone down, and so it's really important, the guidance and orientation. That was really important, as I would say, in the group. So we couldn't really answer all questions, because there was a bit of difficulties in understanding the questions. So, well, what the workshop versus mentoring, we came to the conclusion that every method has, of course, its own pros and cons, as everybody knows. So maybe this should be a balanced combination in a way. So because workshop is very practical, is more short term, it's very focused. There is most of the time a goal which you have to reach in a certain period of time, and the mentoring is more adapted to the research, and it could be long term depending on the topic of the research. It's open, and it's not only focusing on one topic. So both is needed in a way, because workshops is also could be very of course, it's workshops are more focused on community, so more people are working together, and this is motivating itself. And a mentoring is more really actually more one-to-one, probably, right? So communication. And the last question was, what is transparent mentorship? So we would like to have you answer that question.
Well, this is a question for everyone. I think you know, what types of tools are available? What have you seen, and how is it helpful to have transparent mentoring? For example, you know, being able to show iterations of work or feedback. Is this something that you've seen? Is it helpful? And the conversation that we're having today also raises another question for me, which is, you know, there's the idiom that too many cooks spoil the broth, right? So if you're asking everyone for their feedback, that might result in a dilution of the original idea. So how do you balance, you know, getting lots of feedback versus targeted feedback, and how do you, you know, balance that and take what is most critical to your own work? So I think I'm answering a question with a question, but I am curious to hear what other people think.
I just wanted to say quickly, I don't think that tool exists. And I think that's where listening to 2 hours and the person that helped invent online learning from MIT is saying that we're still in the process of making it. So maybe this group is the basis of this new tool or this new network or this new idea. But I'm still searching. I met Anna at ICEA last year at a coffee shop. And then I met her in a lecture and I asked her, hey, why am I here in this conference? I don't really know what I'm looking at, but I'm excited to be here. So maybe Anna can just say, hey, why should we come together with thousands of people in another country?
That's a good question. That's not really happening these days, but nevertheless,
Yeah.
we're trying to very hard, I think, to replace this physical encounters with these kind of online workshops. What I really think is a main challenge for all of us, it's like you have all the tools, but you have something, and that's the kind of coincidence. It's the art of the accident. When Gustavo and me run into each other last year, then that was not planned. And I think one of the things that is a real challenge when it comes to mentorship and finding one another goes beyond the finding the keywords in the database. With all due respect, of course, Sheila, for the very interesting database you showed us. But it also is about meeting people who are ending up somewhere simultaneously and share an interest. And that interest can just be totally curiosity driven. And that's where you find these encounters that may lead to lifelong mentorships or to relationships that are actually extremely valuable. So this is a difficult one I'm bringing up now, but I think this is really, really interesting for us to deal with in these times of online meetings.
I propose something. So this is just another off the cuff idea. So Gustavo and a few others led a community collaboration workshop yesterday, and today we're talking about mentorship. But as we design and build this, I don't see why we need to wait for something to get built. We could actually create short sessions on a bi-weekly basis or something like that, that will just kind of have an open room, but we can do it that is driven topic by topic, so that allows for people to really kind of connect really quickly. So I want to just put that out there as an idea, because as we've actually during this whole Ars Electronica, we've actually had 3 sessions about connecting with each other and how we do that. But there's no need for us to wait while things get built. We can continue to have these and be really driven by you all. I don't want to be the one imposing a particular topic, but what I'm going to offer this right now, and this is to everyone here, and is send me something you want to talk about with other people, and we can set up a session on that and just have it really open like this. and not like very presentation-y, but very like, let's just talk about it. And, you know, I just want to get your feedback on that as we iterate this.
I would say that Anna, she really opened my eyes to international conferences and curating panels and really thinking about the culture of why you travel 20 or 30 hours from your home to see people. And I think maybe that is what we need to find out, is why do we want to connect with each other so bad that we want to continue learning?
Wouldn't it be fantastic to explore this together in the near future, as Daniela is suggesting, and see where that brings us? Of course, we can think in problems and obstacles, but this would be a great opportunity to have this space where you can pop in just knowing what's on the menu and further on nothing, and then see where that will bring us, and if that could be the tool or the instrument you were looking for to establish forms of mentorship or exchange. You can count me in. That's really, really like that idea.
Right. Well, we'll do something like that for sure. Well, I think that we're almost out of time, right? So does anybody else have anything else to add or share, or want to sum up? Maybe Diana, you want to also add something to this conclusion, or?
Well, maybe a concluding thought or two is that this kind of convening and connecting, it really matters. It really matters when you show up and you bring your whole self, and you have that openness. I think it's that authenticity that is, as Sonu in our group said, taking the risk in a really positive, open way that we need. And that's how we are worthy of trust. That's how we build trust and how we humanize this literal digital culture. The combination of building a mentorship matrix that is both curated and organic is the challenge we're facing today, with some tools of curation that we can select from these kinds of gatherings, or tools like Leonardo Labs that Sheila has gifted our community with her through her leadership and vision. The organic part is harder when we're not running into each other in a cafe. So what is the metaphorical cafe where we might find things that are emerging? And maybe that's something like, there seems to be a response to Danielle's suggestion of our offering the space. Maybe that can be the cafe. I do think something that was said in our group as well that I wanted to share was referencing the importance of supporting emerging artists and practitioners. And I want to suggest that we're all emerging, and we will all continue to be emerging at different stages of our life into our next incarnation, the next expression of who we are. And this is a time right now where we are all preparing to emerge. We're in the emerging, and we haven't yet emerged into what this next phase is going to be that can hold ourselves, each other, and this practice of interdisciplinary creative work that we are a part of building and creating. So in conclusion, I welcome each and all of you as my mentors, as my peers, as my proteges in that tree of a mentor matrix that is still emerging, that it may be both organic and curated in the way that's most humanizing for us.
So let us also thank, of course, Anna and Carla from Agora Digitalis and the Linz Campus Program for inviting Leonardo here today. We're really, really excited about connecting with all of you and learning from each other. And as I mentioned, all of the artifacts that we've created in this workshop are going to be analyzed, and we will use it in the development of mentoring, because of course we want everyone to produce the best work that you can to contribute to our collective economy of knowledge. And thank you for inviting us. Thank you to all of you for participating. Any last words I welcome you to say now?
Oops. It's supposed to be free.
Otherwise, thank you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Saturday.
Thank
and
you.
Enjoy
Happy
Ars Electronica.
Saturday.